after I had tried it on, my own like extended family were kind of like whispering behind my back.
I think that's really powerful that, especially for a young girl, hearing the comments about your body and the support that you've gotten from him over the years. Wow, it's really important to have a voice like that. Welcome to the Rain From Within show. I'm Shane, your host. Some scars are not visible until someone tells you the story behind them. Today's guest is Hannah Anderson. She was diagnosed with scoliosis at 11 years old, right in the middle of playing sports and trying to figure out who she was. What followed were years of unwanted comments about her body, chronic pain, learning how to navigate athletics with doctor approvals and physical therapy. Then, at 22 years old, she was diagnosed with celiac disease, another condition that forced her to rethink her relationship with her body. But this is not a story about limitation. It's about rebuilding, and it's about a father who told her to never be ashamed of being strong. It's about choosing to work with your body instead of fighting it. And it's about representing strength even when you carry invisible battles. If you like the episode, make sure you subscribe, leave a like, drop a comment of your biggest takeaway, and let's get into it. Enjoy the show. Hannah, thanks for joining. Dude, got to give you a shout out before we get started. You've been a part of Strength for a fat minute, and you have one of the biggest streaks in the app for Mighty Networks. You come in, and do you have any idea how many days in a row you've done?
I think when I looked today, I think it was like 153, 154.
What is your favorite part about the app? Before we get into your story quick, like, how are you so dang consistent? What do you enjoy most about Strength?
I really like the community. I remember going into Strength and everything, at first thinking that it was like a pyramid scheme because like it like all of the advertisements, it was just like one video after another, like all over my For You page, and then it popped up on my Instagram, and I'm like, okay, I'll try it, see what's happening with it. And for a long time I didn't really know what to do, and then I joined the app, and it was suddenly I wasn't the only person with celiac disease anymore. I wasn't the only person who, played rugby, or well, somewhat played rugby, and like I just didn't feel alone or as isolated anymore than I did previously. And I felt like through this community, like I actually had people to like recommend me new workouts and stuff, and I wasn't doing like the same 2-3 exercises anymore. It was more there was more of a variety, and I saw my growth, like with my fitness and everything. Like my endurance went up higher with the newer like workouts and stuff that other people recommended.
That's amazing, dude. Hannah, okay, couple things to mention. First off, so glad to hear that you've had an amazing experience with the community. Props to you for taking advantage of it and not thinking, of course, the pyramid scheme allegation. Just so people know what a pyramid scheme is versus what Strength is. Pyramid schemes, there's like a downline, and it's all based on like they have a product, but the real way people make money is by recruiting others. There's no recruiting with Strength. Obviously, you get incentives if you refer somebody. You get a gift card just as a thank you. But yeah, there's no really like commitment or buy-in or anything like that. So that's what's cool about our community is we give the value up front, and then we let you guys get products whenever you want. And we're super grateful for people like Hannah that took a chance on us, because in a previous episode I was just filming, we talked about how when you first join the team, it's kind of like the first day of school, and that feeling of the butterflies and such, and having to go out of your way to try something new. Props to you for taking us on. So I want to dive into your story now, Hannah. You were diagnosed with scoliosis at 11 or 12, you said. When did you first realize that wasn't just a minor thing?
Well, actually, um, I had called my dad last night just to like double check as to how old I was when I was diagnosed. I know I was in elementary school, and he actually told me that I was diagnosed as young as like I believe 9. So it's a couple years prior to fifth and sixth grade. But
Mm-hmm.
I remember doing like my school at the time, they did like physicals and stuff where like the nurse would do like either a head lice check, or for PE she would check everybody's spines and stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember going in, not thinking anything of it. Like I wasn't feeling like any pain or anything. And then like my dad got a phone call later that day saying, "Hey, your daughter has scoliosis." And my dad, to from my understanding, I don't think he really knew what that meant a whole lot, or what would eventually come from it. Um, but for a while, like it was just a lot of uncertainty. Like a lot of the sports that I was doing, I had to get like another doctor's note on top of the physical exam that we
Mm-hmm.
had to do like prior to starting.
Yeah.
Um, just because the more that I was playing, and obviously with growth spurts at a young age, that was always a concern. And for a while, I did actually have to have um, like inserts placed into my cleats. I had to have them placed into like my daily just school shoes,
Mm-hmm.
and then like same with my gym shoes. And those are actually pretty pricey. They weren't ones from like Walmart or anything. Like we had to go through an orthopedic
Wow.
to get the ones that I had. And so I also remember having to go through a lot of x-rays and like progress pictures, which is why through strength, I don't really do progress pictures or anything, just because my entire life it's been, comparing photos
Mm.
and stuff. And like whenever I take progress pictures, I'm so focused on the area where my scoliosis is that I
Yeah.
don't see like the rest
Wow,
of
that's really powerful, Hannah.
my muscle stuff.
Yeah, I totally. I'm very similar to you with how my chest condition used to be, and I see a lot of similarities. You talked about how you hated wearing dresses or swimsuits, and people made comments too about your body, and that's not cool. And especially when you're growing up, kids they don't even know what they're saying many times, right? You look back and you probably do you hold like any kind of resentment, and or like do you feel like you've been able to forgive people in the past for any comments?
Yeah, I feel like I've like forgiven a lot of people for it. It's not so much like something that I would hang on to. Like yes, it would hurt in the moment, but um, growing up, a lot of these comments did unfortunately come from my own dad.
Oh
But
wow.
um, also disclaimer, because I know that you're going to be listening to this. Hi, Dad. Um, it was never in a like intention, like a
Yeah.
bad intention. It was never malice. It was always just kind of like a shock. So when he would say these comments, it's just like, "Oh my God, Hannah, you're so crooked," or
Mm,
like he'll try to like readjust like my head placement, or like bring my shoulders up to a weird angle because my posture was so bad
yeah.
that I didn't notice it, but my dad would see that like one shoulder's higher than the other. My neck was more this way.
Yeah.
And like even like now, like I'm 25 years old, when I had gone to try on my wedding dress and everything, after I had tried it on, my own like extended family were kind of like whispering behind my back, and they were just like, "Oh my God, like she needs to go in
Hmm.
that hip realigned."
Oh
And
yeah.
um, it was many years of physical therapy and all of this, which I'm still actively doing.
Okay.
One of my physical therapy things was hanging up on the door behind me, but that thing fell down.
Oh,
Um,
like a pull-up bar?
no, it kind of looks a little bit like a noose, but it's not a noose.
Okay. Okay,
I
good.
promise.
Yeah.
Not a noose. It's just something to help with my neck. Because unfortunately, like as I got older with my scoliosis, the cartilage between my vertebrae started to disintegrate. So I
Mm,
do have arthritis throughout my spine in some areas.
wow.
So that's supposed to aid with it. But
Wow. Hey, I got to just give you some flowers here. It takes incredible strength to be talking about all of this, first off. Secondly, to go through it, live through it, have to deal with it. But that's what our brain's all about. And I think that's why we jive so well, is it's not what happens to us that defines us. It's how we respond to what that does. Because although you can't control that, you're an amazing person how you are, Hannah. And I'm so glad and grateful to have you in part of my life as well. And it sucks that family members would say things. It's with the best intention in mind of they want the best for you. They love you. They probably feel a type of way. They feel a little bad. But yeah, so you've been able to work through this. And then I want to go through now, when you were 22, you were told you had celiacs, right? Am I pronouncing that right?
yeah,
Celiacs? And
celiac.
celiacs? Okay. And that should have been known much earlier.
Oh yeah.
So what went through your head when you found out?
Um, I didn't really know much about it when I was first diagnosed. But given my doctor's reaction, like she told me that I should have been diagnosed like when I was really young. And looking back at it, like I do remember going to my dad constantly saying, hey, my stomach hurts. Hey, like, um, like I haven't gone
Yeah.
like to the restroom or anything in like a certain amount of days. And yes, I'm not gonna blame all of that on my dad, because I will say growing up I was that one kid that would for like food and everything go back for second helpings, third helpings, fourth helpings
Gains.
and stuff. And so I don't blame that on my dad. None of this I blame on my dad.
Yep.
But I remember us constantly going to the doctor and them saying, um, take Miralax every day, take this every day, drink more water, do this, do this, and nothing was helping.
Hmm.
So it wasn't just like, a normal stomach ache that you would get for being really full. Like this was, me at 8 years old looking extremely bloated, like
Okay.
after, just a normal meal.
Yeah.
And so after I was diagnosed, it was like, okay, that's making more sense. But the more I went into like researching a little bit more about what celiac is, the more I realized it, or like from what I could get through my research, it was like an autoimmune disease that's passed down immediately from parent to child. Like
Mm.
it's not like it doesn't skip a generation or anything.
Yeah.
And I do know in some cases on both sides of my family, there are some family members who do have a gluten allergy, but whether it's celiacs or just like a gluten intolerance or whatever, I don't know
Okay.
regarding that severity. Um, but when I was diagnosed, my doctor had asked me, like, do you know of any parent that might have this? And I'm like, not that I know of. I mean, my dad might have it, but then again, my mom might have it. But unfortunately, like, I don't have access to my mom's medical records because she passed away like
Yep.
a long time ago. So I don't really have access to those. And whenever I ask a family member about her like health and everything, it's always a big question mark.
Okay.
So it's been quite a change. And looking at it, when you're diagnosed with an autoimmune disease like that, like you have to, like, you find yourself having to pay more attention to like the most tiniest of details. Like, it's not just the food that you have to be conscious of now. Now it's the shampoo, it's the conditioner,
Wow.
body lotion, hand sanitizer, even. Like, it, wheat, the wheat component, or like wheat ingredient, is in so many things that we use today that, you spend more of your time reading labels than you do actually being able to enjoy,
Mm.
like, that.
Wow,
Um,
that's an incredible thing I've never thought of. Yeah, a lot of time spent with, yeah, holy crap. So the chronic pain from scoliosis plus the autoimmune disease, it had to have, so you're saying it plain as day, it's definitely impacted your relationship with not just your food and training, but also just your day to day life. I want to lean into your dad for a sec here. So you've said your dad has always been your biggest supporter, Hannah. What did he say or do that helps keep you grounded? Like, yeah, yeah, I'll start there.
well, I guess for starters, my dad is the reason I had a fitness journey to begin with. Like, growing up, I do have two siblings who are older than me, but um, they weren't really into sports as much as I was, or like my dad wanted them to be. Because
Yeah.
I remember for a while, like, my dad wanted my brother to do basketball, and I think he tried it for like 2 years, 3 years, I think. But then he didn't like it, so he stopped doing it. And then I came along, and um, in elementary school, we would always have these things called summer sign up and winter sign up when it came to sports. And after a while, like, I was literally dragging my dad to these things. Like, I want to try this one. I want to try this one. I did this sport last season, so I want to try this one, or I want to do this one again. And he never made me feel bad about that by any means. Like, if anything, he was super supportive of it. There were times where, like, there were some sports where he's just like, I don't know how to feel about, like, you playing,
Which sports?
flag football.
Oh, dang. Beast.
Because at my school at the time, like, a lot of the girls, they either did flag football or like tackle football, or they did basketball, or they did softball, or they did soccer. And
Yeah.
a lot of my life, I did softball, but I did do soccer, I did do basketball, but kind of suck at my sports. I was more of the, at least for softball, I was the kid that would let the pitcher hit her with the ball,
Oh,
so that
get
way,
on first base.
yeah, yeah. So
I've
give
done
them the
that.
free beat.
Yeah.
Um,
Get her on
but no,
base.
he always, like, kind of, I wouldn't say he pushed, but he was definitely a big factor with that, because he never, like, had junk food or anything in the house. Like, I think the closest thing to junk food that I had was like those microwave popcorn bags, or like a chewy granola bar.
Hmm.
Um, but he kind of set that goal for me, where it started at home with the food first.
Mm.
And then it was, once I got old enough to do sports, then it was, okay, we're going to try this sport. See if you like it. If you don't like it, then we'll find a different one next season. And that just kind of stayed routine. And there were times where, with some of the sports that I was in, like softball, he was my coach. And then in other sports, like, I think for basketball, and then I believe like 2 years of softball, he wasn't my, like, designated team coach, but at the end of every practice, we would go home, and either on the walk home or when we got home, he would be like, okay, you need to work on,
for?
moving your wrist a certain way to get the ball through the hoop, or, when you're batting, you need to, twist your torso at like a certain thing, and like he would demonstrate that. And I will happily admit this, I was not the easiest kid raising. I got frustrated very easily when it came to this, because like my dad was kind of hard on me when it came to like, hey, I need you to watch the ball, like I need you to hit the ball and stuff. And he would get frustrated in that way. But
Yeah.
and as a result, I would also get frustrated because I wasn't hitting the thing. But he was kind of my big foundation setter for that. But he never made me feel bad about it. Like, he was supportive in the way where he was either the loudest parent in the stand or the
biggest supporter.
Yeah, or I wouldn't say like a tough love coach, but he was always there, in a sense where some of my teammates didn't have their parents always there, but he was always there, like physically and everything. And I'm so sorry about the squeaking. There's a truck like right outside my window.
Oh, I don't hear anything. You're good. Yeah, I love this, and it reminds me. You take me back to the days when I was growing up in sports in elementary, middle, and high. And my parents, just for a contrast, they just liked whatever I did. They didn't really give me that critique, and sometimes I wish they did. But I also saw parents like yourself with your dad, where they were the coach even, and they were a lot harder on their kids. And sometimes I wish I had that, but at the same time I can totally see from your shoes that had to have been a little annoying sometimes. But at the end of the day, I believe that once, hopefully, like, do you want to have kids someday? Do you want to have? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
I already told my fiance that I can definitely see my dad, see me becoming my dad in that way. But I do want to quickly clarify that my dad was never like the kind of guy who would like scream at me for missing like a ball, or
that's good.
Like screaming at me because I didn't do something right, compared to some parents that you now see.
Yeah.
Like screaming at their children who are like 7 years old because, they couldn't hit a ball.
Absolutely.
Like my dad was more of like, well, he was a little bit more intense when it came to basketball. Like, he would try to like coach me from the sidelines.
Right.
When he wasn't supposed to, but in softball, he was just happy if I could hit the ball. I remember I had hit a pop fly, which is like when the ball like goes directly up and everything, and like the other team is so distracted with like trying to find it to catch it that they don't see you running. But if they do catch it, like, it's an automatic out. And after, I think, 10 years of playing or something, like, that was the first time I had ever hit a ball. And my dad was screaming from the stands. Like, he was just happy that I hit the ball.
Yeah.
But unfortunately I got out by the time I hit first base, but he was so happy. And like, he was just always there. And even if like I wasn't playing or something, we would always like together, like, we would go to the store. We would bring like those really big like the really big bags of like Powerade or Gatorade in like different colors, and bring that for the team.
Ooh.
And everything. And he was a big supporter in that way. He was always a booster parent for sports as well as marching band, which I was in competitive marching band, not the, kind that goes up and down the street. But, he was always there for that too.
What did you play?
I played trombone, so I played like the really long, sliding thing.
Oh yeah.
And um, growing up, it was always like, I never got to do this with your brother. I never got to do this with your sister. Hannah, I missed out a lot on this and this with, my other two siblings. And so growing up, that was like always in my mind. Once again, not in a malicious way, not in a mean way by any means. He just kind of got into his head a little bit with that. But it wasn't until I got to like middle school and high school, especially with marching band, that's when my dad kind of stepped into the booster role, like the booster parent. And yeah, he was just always kind of supporting me with everything. And
yeah, your dad's a beast. Let's go.
And especially as a widowed single parent, that's really hard to do, like financially speaking. Because, you got one kid that's in 2 to 3 sports out of the year. It's always physicals. It's always, fundraising because we need new equipment. It's, like endless going to an orthopedic. It's going to a physical therapist. And that's just on top of like, the normal dentist visit, normal, like all of this other stuff. And so there were a lot of times where like, I'd imagine I had kind of stressed him out with that, but he had always made it a priority to come and either watch me play or learn how to coach this sport, especially with like marching band and softball. Like my dad, he kind of played softball, but it was like the adult league. But it was never like a group of like 8, 9, 10, 11, so on and so forth, year-old kids, where you actually had to like schedule stuff and like learn how to coach and everything. And so that kind of opened his eyes a little bit with that. And in a way, I think it made him a little bit more happy because it was more of a father-daughter bonding time with that. And when I had gotten into marching band, like he kind of dwelled on what he had missed out with my brother. My brother played drums. He was also in marching band back when he was in high school. There's a very large age gap between my brother and I. So like when I was born, he was 14. So by the time I got to high school, he was like well out of school in general. Yeah, for like quite a while, he wasn't sure how to help with that. And then he showed up to like band camp one day and he fell in love with it because next thing you know, he was helping out with sets.
Okay.
Or like building our sets because in competitive marching band, like you take up a whole football field and like you do a show for it. But he was building the sets. He was using his truck and his trailer to pull everything. He even like got so into it to the point where he bought a grill, like a massive grill, solely for cooking food for myself and my like the other band kids.
Wow, that's really nice. It's admirable.
Yeah, and when my class had graduated, the other parents had gotten him a apron, and on that apron it had all of the shows that the class of 2019 had performed in.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So he still has that to this day. He's still very proud of it to this day. And even when I had joined rugby in college, like he was very taken aback by it because he was just like, he'd never played a contact sport before. But if you want to do it, I'm all for it. Just, obviously don't get hurt because of, college and life insurance, or not life insurance, but health insurance.
Yeah.
And all that stuff at that age. But no, he never made fun of me for having too much muscle. He never made fun of me having, like biceps or like, well, obviously everybody has biceps, but he never made fun of me for having that muscular definition from a young age till now.
That's really important. I think that's really powerful that, especially for a young girl, hearing the comments about your body and the support that you've gotten from him over the years. Wow, it's really important to have a voice like that. So,
So
yeah,
he's always been my number one with that. And, growing up too, he was just like, never feel bad for having muscle. Like, never feel bad for, you know, playing in sports and being, as muscular as your, like, boy classmates and everything. Like,
yeah,
like, you don't need to feel bad for that. But then, like, outside of the scoliosis comments, but I don't hold any negative vibes or anything.
love it. It's
Like
good.
that.
So, how is representing strength while living with scoliosis and celiacs change your confidence?
I would say it's just more so I've kind of learned to like have a piece of like a sorry, let me restart there.
There you go.
It was more I don't even know. I don't even think I can put it into words. Because for a while with strength, I did have a very unhealthy relationship, not with the brand or anything, but just with like, seeing a lot of the fellow athletes like posting all of their like progress pictures or
Yeah.
like saying that they're sticking with this particular diet or just kind of stuff along those lines where I felt like I had to apply more pressure onto myself, which, with having scoliosis, arthritis, like where gravity is already against you as is, and then on top of that, already having to be extremely picky with my diet as like as in depth as celiacs can be, just to kind of like form an accidental like toxic environment. Sorry, I'm like struggling to word this.
No, I totally hear where you're coming from. Like at first, maybe a little bit of intimidation and seeing it like, oh crap, like I wish I could do that, right? But then you become more comfortable with yourself. You see other people winning, and the perception kind of changes, and you're like, dude, no, like this is good. I'm happy to see the progress. And then your vibe attracts your tribe. You're seeing people winning. You feel like you start winning more as well in your life. And now you see setbacks. Like they're still present in your day to day, but how do you manage to see them differently now?
It definitely took a while, but once I stopped looking at everybody's progress pics, like I know, especially with today's day and age, like at least towards the women, it's you have to have like the new thing is you have to have this body type. Like this is the ideal body type. And like it's in every advertisement. It's in like every social media based thing. Like it's all over the place. Like even for like clothing to get modeled in that, like all of the girls have the same physique. They all have the same shape. And for me, I never saw those girls who had that, hip difference. Like I didn't see any of the girls, in leggings where like a literal curve going outward was noticeable in the leggings, in their shorts and stuff like that. And that's when I kind of started adjusting my mindset to this is not my ideal body. Like, I don't want any of that because when I was thinking, like, I want this, I was pushing myself in a form of punishment
Mm.
and not in a form of positive performance. So, like, my concern now is being able to build my muscle where, it has fallen short because of my scoliosis. Like, because with school, at least with mine, I can't wear a brace. I can't get back surgery because it's not at that severity. So
Yeah.
I'm stuck. And so, like, it's just my goal is to do performance over punishment. My goal
Yeah.
is to, have my body be healthy. Like, yes, I want toned, muscles and stuff, but I don't want it for the sake of aesthetic. I want it for the sake of, hey, my body is healthy. Like, my body is still carrying itself despite everything, like all the pressure that is already actively
Mm-hmm.
being put. Like, I didn't need the extra pressure because that all of that extra pressure, the like even stricter dietary routine, the like progression picks,
Yeah.
those were not helping me by any means. They were more of the like my negative mindset, which to my athletes who do use the dietary and the progression pictures, phenomenal. Like, you guys do that it's if it helps with you.
Yeah.
For me, my confidence is more I already have a strict diet. I already have to do all of this extra pressure. I'm going to focus on that.
I love
And
that. I gotta just butt in for a sec there. My senior quote was "Stay in yo lane" by LeVar Ball. He's so like not in the news or anything anymore. But in high school, LeVar Ball was like him and Lonzo and LaMelo. But the point of it is stay in your lane, right? Focus on what you have in front of yourself. This life is your race and your race alone. When you spend too much time looking to your left and your right at other people's success and or things that they're dealing with, we forget about what's in front of us. So I think you have the perfect mindset with that, with just focusing on controlling your controllables, living your life. And yeah, I think a lot of that sounds like so much growth.
that was just recently too, because I've been with strength for almost a year now. Like, I think I'm coming up on month 10, maybe 11. And
Crushing
it
it.
took me until January to realize that.
I love it.
But then, like, when I also started developing that mindset, which I would like to thank, I can't take all the credit. I would like to thank Alona Mar. She's a U.S. women's Olympian. She's a rugby player. She plays for Team USA. She kind of opened that mindset a little bit more to me with, like, it's okay to have a body that is not, an hourglass figure.
Yeah.
It is okay to have a body where, it's more muscle than anything. And with that, I also realized too, like, my dad, like, instilled so much body confidence into me with saying, like, there's nothing wrong with having biceps. There's nothing wrong with, you having muscular thighs, or what would now be considered, or at least for me, be considered growing up, thunder thighs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
That is all genetic. Like, for me, that strength came from my dad. That came from my mom. Like, all the girls in my family, they have that physique. So why would I want to take that away?
Ooh, lean into your strengths, of course. I want you to answer something for me. For someone that feels like their body is against them, what would you want them to hear?
But it's okay to not be okay. um, and that, it's okay to, be nitpicky when it comes to your health in that regard, because Like for me, an autoimmune disease, at least with mine, it's not something that can be cured with medication. Like if you are not careful, it can lead to worsening symptoms. Like it can lead to like it could lead to cancer in the intestines. It could lead to so many different things. So it is okay to be picky in that regard, but to not be hard on yourself. Like, and at least with me, there are a lot of rough days regarding my food that there are there are times where I don't eat because I am so scared. Um, it definitely takes a lot, but it is okay to not have the okay days. They don't define who you are as a person, and to just kind of take those days 1 minute at a time instead of like one day at a time because they can last pretty long.
Yeah.
But to just like not add more pressure onto yourself because you're already under so much pressure as it is. And to add more of that doesn't help.
Yeah, you got to have some grace for yourself. Absolutely. Take your time. I love that message, Hannah. You show incredible strength inside and out, and I'm so appreciative that you're part of the brand and that we get to have you on. Where can they find you on socials?
That is a good question. I don't really have a whole lot of like strength-based socials. I did start one TikTok. It's called, I don't even know my own username. Please hold while I find it. I am not. That's the volume.
Oh, you're good.
Sorry. So I guess TikTok for it would be H after hours. So I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it might not show. But if it doesn't show, that is okay. The username will be H dot after hours. That is my strength-based one. I don't really have any other social media designated to it.
That's awesome. Yeah, you can share like whatever socials you want people to find you at, but regardless, dude, awesome job. Let's go, guys.
And then another message I have to those who do have like the scoliosis, celiac disease, all of that stuff. Outside of being kind to yourself, do your physical therapy if you have it, and stay hydrated. That will help. At least for me, it does with both of my instances. If you do have scoliosis or arthritis and you do have physical therapy, do your physical therapy. So, because otherwise, all of that work that was assigned to you to help better the situation, you're not bettering the situation by avoiding your physical therapy.
It's good. Yes, well said. All right, guys, if you like the episode, make sure you like it and make sure you're subscribed, following on Spotify or Apple Pod, wherever you're listening at. And Hannah, you killed it. It's great work. Guys, comment your biggest takeaway, and we'll see you in the next one.